Can Oatchi take on the entirety of Pikmin 4 all by himself? Since Pikmin 4's release, people have talked about how overpowered this dog is. Let's see if just one dog can take on the world. Some ground rules real quick. This is an Oatchi only challenge, meaning no Pikmin, no Pebble Pitcher, no items unless absolutely required for progression, and only upgrades regarding Oatchi. No captain upgrades or anything like that. And when I say no Pikmin, that means no Glow Pikmin and no Danduri Pikmin. I've seen a lot of people do no Pikmin challenges and they end up using those two, which in my eyes is kinda like cheating. With that out of the way, let's address the snoot whacker in the room, the tutorial. This is because during the tutorial, Pikmin are kind of required for specific parts. And by kind of, I mean they are required for specific parts. During the Olimar portion, you can pass by some Pikmin and you have to actually get them, but they can just be set aside and then you can go fight Sonic the Hedgehog without using any Pikmin at all. But wait, there's more tutorial after that. After landing on the planet, you and baby Oatchi must collect items. The shanking device is easy to get, but the other one is too heavy, and even if you ram it all the way to the ship, it won't go in unless you meet the weight requirement to pick it up. The bell is also impossible to get without Pikmin. So at this point, Pikmin are 100% required to progress past this point. So you have to get 7 Pikmin plus Oatchi to get the Game Boy, and then you need 5 more, or 5 of the existing 7 to bring down the bell. From here you can enter the first area with small Oatchi. And there isn't really anything you can do with tiny Oatchi, so you basically just have to end the day. But as it turns out, Oatchi doesn't actually grow at the end of the day. He only grows up if you save a castaway. Meaning you have to use at least 1 more Pikmin, an ice Pikmin from the tutorial, to complete it. We can put our not Oatchi uses to 13, and actually continue now that we're officially out of the tutorial. Don't mind Oatchi drowning, I'm just teaching him how to swim. You just stand around uselessly while making Oatchi collect raw material piles. Raw materials are super important to get the upgrades I'll need for this run. I proceeded to giving Oatchi brain damage and collecting a bunch of treasures. After that, I upgraded Oatchi to 10 strength, and I continued to collect more treasures that I could with Oatchi at his current power level. There's a lot of goofy things you can do, like ramming treasures through water just to collect all the ones possible without Pikmin. But there's not too many of those since most of them actually require Pikmin, go figure in a game called Pikmin. So after that, it was time to do some more raw material farming. This is where the run becomes an absolute pain, because Oatchi takes so long to get everything. This is because not only does Oatchi have to make that run from the pile to the ship 20 times, he also has to go back from the ship to the pile, something a group of 20 Pikmin does not have to do, making it at least 40 times longer, and he's actually slower than the Pikmin with his base upgrades. For reference, it took a full day to collect just 22 raw material, something that you could do in just a couple of seconds with Pikmin. But after all that was done, I finally got shock resistance, so I went and unlocked some of the areas I couldn't access before, going through and getting all of those missing items. Without fire resistance, there were multiple things that I still couldn't collect, but that was another upgrade that I had to farm for. My goal right now was to hit that 1,500 in order to unlock the next area. But as if in some cruel act of God, I was stuck at 1,490, just 10 off. So I had 2 options, grind 100 raw material, or sell the corpses of my fallen foes on the black market. I opted for the ethical approach, and proceeded to sell the bodies. There happened to be exactly enough to reach 1,500 flat in the cave that I entered, so after I got that, I used the rest of the day to collect more raw material. It was time to go to Blossoming Arcadia. Look at how happy the wildlife looks. It's as if they don't know Oatchi and I are coming to destroy, attack, and cause havoc over the ecosystem. I mean, no, that's exactly what I mean. I started carrying some treasures past the dead baby Snagrets that were already like that when I got there. It was just a matter of going into the first cave and trying to rescue a castaway so Oatchi could become more of a killing machine, friend-making machine. Then, in regular Oatchi only run fashion, I used the rest of the day to collect raw material, and managed to go from 25 to 34, using this pile that was right beside the landing site. Yeah, this run takes a long time. On the 10th day, I fought a Bulborb and got absolutely wrecked. Partly a Danduri issue, but also in part because you get locked in position when attacking, and can't weave as easily like in Pikmin 2. The rest of the day just involved tactically traversing a cave with fire, in attempts to collect more treasure, but it was of little use since I actually really needed that fire resistance upgrade by this point. I went to collect I honestly don't know what this is, but it was surrounded by creepy crawlies, so Dog bite electric fence without taking damage. Makes me wonder why the dogs I know in real life can't do that. I peacefully evicted a Skitterleaf family. They didn't do anything wrong. Past me was just pure evil. The Dweevils, on the other hand, were very annoying and completely messing up my world record Pikmin 4 speedrun pace, so I had to take them out. Then, at the depths of the cave, we have our first boss. The first real challenge. Oatchi against the Foolish. The battle raged for 20 minutes. But thanks to the power of editing, you don't have to see all of that, or the creepy mask that's at the end of the cave. And with that, our castaway dingo was saved, and our Danduri dreams could finally come to flourish. More on that in a bit. The next step was to give the Skitterleaf family a proper burial on the black market, and leave the surviving members alive so they could rebuild. Okay, Oatchi. The grind was slow, but we were slowly but surely making progress towards getting that 100 raw material for our next elemental dog upgrade. But I decided to buy a headlamp since I kinda need that for some caves. So after that, it was more material while AFK farming, as if I was playing some kind of Oatchi 4 mobile game. One upgrade later, and using one captain as bait later in order to take down some Joustmites, it was time to 1v1 the fake creeping chrysanthemum. That was actually my favorite part of the 10 plus hours in this run so far. So from here, I had to break my motto of we don't build bridges, we break walls. And got Oatchi to build a bridge using up so much raw material that I spent so long getting. But I also realized at this point that you can push loose raw material with the captain. And this, well, it sucks, but it's required to reach peak Danduri, because you can bring it closer so Oatchi has less traveling to do. But now, it was time to go back into the fire, literally, and collect all of the objects and fire hazards that I couldn't get before. This took less than a day, and then after that I went over to the Arcadia, on to fighting more fires. Moving landing locations, collecting raw materials, and being constantly at full health because of my peak Danduri skills. Finally, I found a family of Snagrets that I'm totally going to leave alone, and prepared for the next day by grinding more, you guessed it, raw material. But before that, it was time. Time to Danduri for the first time. I said time a lot there. You see, the key to winning this in time is that you have to use Pikmin, but we actually can't do that. So the key to winning is using Oatchi, but Oatchi frickin' sucks right now, because he has no upgrades. So the key to winning is actually to lose, but this is where the MVP comes in. Remember how I mentioned Dingo earlier? You see, every time, or most of the time, when you fail a Danduri battle or collection minigame, you can use Dingo to progress. This is literally just a cutscene with some text, so no Pikmin were harmed or used in the making of this. It feels a bit cheap, but don't worry, I do go back and complete this with only Oatchi in a little bit. Additionally, all of the future Danduri battles are done with only Oatchi because he gets really strong after getting some upgrades. With the castaway saved, we upgraded our good boy. At this point, I asked chat if I could use bomb rocks to make progress towards a specific castaway, since I needed every single Oatchi upgrade I could get in order to win future battles, and they agreed. So using 3 bombs, I struggled to win against the easiest Danduri challenge with only Oatchi, and by struggled to win I mean I lost. I miserably lost. It wasn't even close. So with that, our Dingo uses jump up to 2. And now it was time for a 4-hour grind session of collecting raw material and building certain objects in preparation for my next stream. Because if you didn't know, I stream most of the run, leaving out all of the annoying grinding portions because nobody deserves to sit through waiting for Oatchi to carry a stack of raw material for 4 hours or more. Though there are some funny parts to be seen, like the Snagger being too slow to do anything about Oatchi carrying the raw material through its territory, it isn't really worth streaming. So after more and more grinding, I used the age-old enter the cave and then leave right away to get Oatchi up to a location he normally wouldn't be able to reach, and then used my Siberian Husky to get the Frost Gate down. From here, it was just a matter of getting Oatchi to collect the raw material and completely disregarding the red Pikmin in their eternal battle with the Bulbor. Here, I noticed Oatchi was looking a little out of it, and this rock Pikmin, well, he was kinda dumb. Not too sure why Oatchi looks like I gave him head trauma, it's not like I did anything in the past. Using another Oatchi super attack, I took down the crystal wall to continue scouting, and that's the highlight of the 1-hour farming session that I did after that. The rest is just those raw material gains, because you know I gotta get Oatchi as big as possible. But now, it was time to fight the bird first thing in the morning. because everyone knows the early dog gets the bird. Like, literally gets the bird. With Birdo defeated, the rest of the area would be mine to conquer and destroy. I mean, peacefully explore, because Oatchi's a good boy. So, I used the climb up yourself and then exit the cave strat to get Oatchi up again. From here, I could of course knock down the treasure and enter the other cave with Oatchi, though I could also do that with just the captain. And I tried to sneak a croissant past the Bulborb, but he chose death. The rest of the cave, it basically just involved me ignoring rock Pikmin in their eternal battles as I collected the treasures. Our next boss showed up, and you just gotta keep biting their face until they die. Now, I know that sounds weird out of context, but blame the developers, not me. I managed to stealthily take out a Bulbear's children without it noticing, so I guess Parent of the Year goes to them. And then I proceeded to ram into them and hide behind a corner, and they just repeatedly got frustrated. It was so great and really funny to watch. Then I left, since I didn't want to use bomb rocks here just yet, and from there I challenged Olimar to a Danduri. And people doubted my ability to win, for good reason, but they thought I had no chance of winning at all. But you see, Oatchi is king. Oatchi is OP. Oatchi is Oatchi. And I won the Danduri battle using only him. It was close, but it was done. Thanks to the swimming lessons I gave Oatchi earlier, it was time to go to Serene Shores. Slowly but surely making my way through the seafloor resort, and there was a castaway. But I had to leave it in the care of some creature because I didn't have Oatchi's jump attack yet. The third floor had some gates blocking the way. It's as if they expected you to use Pikmin or something to take it down, but you can also just do this with Oatchi and then you're good to go to the next level. The Master Hop is a master of hopping. No one hippity hoppities like this fellow. And because of all of that, and the puddles he makes as he jumps, it became increasingly difficult to actually take this guy down. In fact, it was super close, but you always gotta remember, Oatchi's number one. Collecting the treasure here was annoying because I had to ram Oatchi against it multiple times to take it out of the water, only for it to be bugged, so I had to leave the cave and pick it up at a later date. Thankfully, with the castaway, you can just make this jump in order to collect, and then from there, because Oatchi can't swim, I gently gave them head trauma, then drowned them, then proceeded to give them more head trauma. But it was worth it, because after I got them on land, I could bring them home safe and sound with no damage caused. Once on the surface, I kinda just went out discussing with the local wildlife using Oatchi's teeth, and then just collecting every single treasure possible that the tide had lowered. This continued until the end of the day. Dingo was then used again in blossoming in order to collect a Danduri guy and upgrade Oatchi so I could get more upgrades in order to progress. Now that I had the jump attack, I could take down this super difficult boss. I think I might be the world's first to actually take this guy down. Anyone who says they've beaten this dude before is probably lying. I then took down the Jellyflow, but without the Oatchi swim upgrade, well, the water was too deep to actually give the castaway head trauma. So I just had to leave them there drowning for like 10 days or whatever until I finally got the upgrade. They should be fine though. From there, it was time to get groovy. So I slowly worked my way through the cave, ignoring any and all Pikmin, but then I got to this subfloor, which expects you to use Pikmin, and I was stuck here for a long time, just trying to make this one jump, blocked by hidden hitboxes and a bunch more. So, after a long while of trying, I called it quits for now and decided to go fight another awesome boss in the Engulfed Castle. It's surprisingly easy to keep all your Pikmin from dying in this cave when you don't have any Pikmin. So floor by floor I just went around slowly collecting treasures, and when the Wraith finally showed up, I'd just keep collecting more until there was none left that I could actually pick up. So it took something like 2 hours and basically all of my HP across Oatchi and the captain to reach the bottom, but I finally did. And then I couldn't even fight the Wraith because the purple Pikmin weight requirement. At this point, one of the commenters had been able to complete the groovy jump and sent me a clip of them completing it. So I went back and attempted to do it for 30 minutes and was able to. I went around, pushed the box, but as I checked the OBS footage, I realized that it had glitched after the 10-minute mark and the video just looks like this. Yeah. I needed to prove my Danduri skills though, so I went back ready to waste another hour or more trying, but then I actually managed to get it on the first try, so that was really nice. The next bit of my grind session, and just for a bit of context on numbers and videos when I actually show this in my file explorer, these are the streams I did. Anything with a decimal after it, like part 3.5, 3.99, etc., or just the boring stuff I did offline, like going back and ramming the Master Hop treasure for 10 minutes in order to finally collect it. Also waiting patiently for Oatchi to build a bridge just so I could get to another part of the map. And of course, bridge building takes numerous days, so you can kind of see why I decided not to stream that stuff. But all of it is recorded and documented. For the 4th stream, I decided to get groovy again. So, with the box down, it was time to collect the treasures and get to that final boss. So, 1 Captain Cross later and 1 cave down, and we finally made it to the legend himself. Now, everyone knows Groovy can keep Oatchi vibing the entire time. Even though the stomps were dangerous, everybody knows the beat is just way better, so it's definitely worth the risk. And after a while, Groovy Longlegs was defeated and Yanni was saved, which would finally allow for some night missions to begin. Oddly enough, it was early in the morning after a night party, which I guess makes sense if you groovied the whole night away. 1 Denduri Dingle later, and that reminded me that I couldn't save the leaflings, so I just had to leave them drowning. It's not like I've done that before. The next logical step was to battle Tomato Olimar. The battle started well, but in all honesty, a couple of bonus finds and 1 golden sniffer later, and my victory was in the bag, getting a comfy 97 to 68 using only Oatchi as always. Best thing about this leafling is they also couldn't be taken back until the tide lowered, so I just grinded the rest of the day punching fish like a normal person. Then it was time for the first night mission. The sucky part about this is you can't actually directly control Oatchi here, since glow Pikmin will actually go up to him and then you'll start throwing them. All you can do is direct Oatchi, which generally makes him weaker since his AI is kinda dumb. We made do with what we had, and it got a little close to getting Oatchi knocked out, but when the countdown started, I knew the first and easiest night was complete. The following night mission showed how much it sucks not being able to directly move around with Oatchi, because he just gets battle locked so easily, and with his lesser upgraded state, a Bulborb is actually very hard to defeat. As the best Oatchi only Pikmin 4 player you know, probably because I'm the only Pikmin 4 Oatchi only player that you'll ever see, you know I win these, with Dingo. Night Mission 3, the first area in Blossoming Arcadia. No Bulborbs means no lose, and I ran out the timer. With that, Oatchi could unlock the swim upgrade, allowing me to get so many treasures I couldn't get before, along with an additional 4 castaways, which just means I managed to get back the investment that I put into it. But hey, like I said, the treasures were the main reason. Seafloor Resort had a bunch of stuff, Engulfed Castle also had a few items I couldn't get before, like this 1 castaway I left drowning because the water was too deep. Even though this looks like the shallowest puddle in the world, it was actually slightly too low for Oatchi to give head trauma. From here, more overworld item collecting and back to the night expeditions. Puffy Blowhogs are surprisingly a powerhouse against Oatchi with the current upgrades I had. Dingo time again. Serene Shores had a bunch of flying creatures, so that was Dingo's problem now. And with the progress I made, I could finally go to Hero's Hideaway and start collecting important items, like this stabbing device. Not the card. I could vibe with the Gildy Mandui, unlock as many locations as possible, and Moss, pretty much with all the other hazards, were zero issues here, since Oatchi was immune to all of them and obviously I had no Pikmin for Moss to steal. I went to Plunder Palace where no bread bugs were harmed in the making of this video. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, he actually listened. Awesome. Lots of fun little jumping around corners and whatnot were done in order to get this run moving and access specific areas. Also, leaving some sort of item in the breadbug's hiding place ensured that they wouldn't die in a tug of war, which is pretty good to know. The unfortunate thing is I couldn't get past this floor as Oatchi couldn't jump up, so the Plunder Palace and its giant breadbugs at the end were just not meant to be seen in this run. The rest of Hero's Hideaway involved me carefully going through and as getting as many items down as possible and as little trips as possible, using only Oatchi and the captain of course. We had 2 of the 3 cards, which means collect all other treasures and get ready to guess that missing number, since the 3rd card actually can't be taken down, without using Pikmin of course. This part of opening the vault though unfortunately needs Pikmin. I tried using Pick carrots, other items, and Oatchi to open it, but it was literally impossible. Another Dingo night expedition later, and I finally had to bite the bullet and use red Pikmin to enter the code 852 and open the safe. The code varies every time, so I unfortunately had to use a fair amount of Pikmin this time, but again, there was literally nothing I could do about it. Sucky thing here is I tried and failed, and tried and failed. But my Oatchi just wasn't upgraded enough, and the RNG gods kept giving me glow Pikmin as my first power-up, which is actually a huge negative since I can't control Oatchi anymore once using that power-up. So, after multiple attempts, I finally knew that I had to give up and go grind more Oatchi upgrades before I could take on Tomato Town. Back to old areas and using items in order to unlock upgrades for Oatchi was the next and pretty much only form of approach, since using Pikmin is definitely cheating, but using items is more of a neutral gray area in my eyes, especially when you're just using it for progression. Oatchi's using it anyways. The Emperor duo took a long time to defeat, and Oatchi was actually even knocked out, but we ended up winning in the end. Honestly, the knockout happened though because the hitbox is kinda tweaking. Like, you're telling me just opening his mouth does damage? My Oatchi is immune to poison. What kind of bad breath does this guy have? Next up was a 5-hour material grind session. The highlight was rematching Olimar in the first battle and beating him 46 to 44. Yeah, 5 hours of nothingness basically. 5th stream could start, and it was time to collect more treasures as well as save castaways in the attempt to get Oatchi ready for that final showdown in Tomato Town. I used a ice bomb rock since it wasn't possible to bait an enemy over and freeze this hydro jelly. For those that don't know, enemies with ice attacks can actually freeze the jello, allowing Oatchi to break it. Also needed to use more items because the captain can't break ice by punching it, and the usual using an enemy's attack didn't work either, which means I needed more item uses. Night Mission 1 in Heroes had a lot of flying enemies, so dingo bingo. And I also needed the use of ice to progress in a cave. Boss battle time was super easy since this boss had no real way of dealing any damage to Oatmeal. More ice and another fail at Denduri since it's literally impossible to beat these Denduri challenges without Pikmin means another Dingo Denduri. And my third and final ice bomb rock in order to unlock the next portion of the cave and get the most important area of this entire run. But more on that later. First, I had to finish building the ramp, which took forever, and then I had to battle some more enemies and collect more treasure. And by last ice bomb rock, I meant this one, not the one before. That's my bad. Now it was time to go to Doppelganger's Den and collect all items possible as well as fight that final boss, which is one of the most annoying bosses to battle with just Oatchi. Knocking off gold multiple times in order to just break one, and then you have to do that a whole bunch. Then after that, the more annoying and difficult part happens. Jump at the right angle and the right height in order to hit the back parts, and keep doing that until they become even smaller and even harder to hit. Once both of his weak points have been taken down and shrunken, it's possible to beat with just 3 bomb rocks, but I had to be precise since I wasn't going to repeat a 20-minute fight. Thankfully, the rewind isn't the worst, but it still sucks. So I just had to accept the fact that I had to use 4 explosives. I hate this game. Why does him eating the bomb rocks deal less damage than letting them explode beside him? This time, I had a plan. Track on back, kinda. Bomb on back, kinda. Then bomb actually on back, and then prox mine in the middle to finish the job. With a surprise Oatchi bite and boom, first try, no rewinds necessary. The next night mission actually went really well, so I guess I'll just mention that. And it was time to Tomato. As it turns out, RNG sucks and you always get glow Pikmin against the Olimar, since you have no Pikmin that you're growing, so it just tries to give you more. And Olimar catches last minute with a 101 to 100. Chat actually kept telling me it wasn't possible to win, believe it or not. The second round would involve me getting glow Pikmin right away, so I restarted. So for the third run, I thought of something. When I get the glow Pikmin power, I should just use it and swap to only giving Oatchi orders. I'd have to be careful not to actually throw or use the glow Pikmin, but this would actually mean I would be able to use the other abilities in order to give me an edge and win against Olimar. It was close. With a couple lucky plays, I actually managed to win 102 to 84, beating Olimar with only Oatchi. With that, the first ending is complete, but everyone wants to see the proper ending too. So I started by scouting out the next area. A lot of the areas on this map are actually blocked by the hay bales requiring fire starters, which are impossible to break with just Oatchi or items. So I ended the stream there, and it was a 1-hour raw material grinding session followed by another 1.5 grinding session, building up for the next 6th stream. For the 6th stream, there were a couple things I could do in Giant's Hearth, and one of them happened to be fighting Man at Legs. Now this boss is super easy to beat, since it just involves jumping and biting with Oatchi, then running around in circles as it fires. Oatchi unfortunately makes this boss look like a joke, but it is what it is. It was Louis battling time. Now Louie's a loser. 85 to 68 to be exact. Chat didn't doubt me this time though. They were learning to believe in me and the power of Oatchi. It was primordial thicket time. Fighting Baldi was fun. It was very time consuming though, as I repeatedly had to bite their toe until they died, and once that happened it was time to fail and get Dingo to help because I couldn't deal with my own failures. So where did that lead me? Back to Dingo. Still though, 161 out of 200 is not the worst for an only Oatchi type deal. Next up was banging out the night missions to cure leaflings and more Oatchi upgrades of course. This was easy enough. Then a bit of treasure collecting and some Louie battling time. Not going to lie, I got destroyed. Not once, not twice, but thrice. Oatchi without the swallow upgrade was just too slow. Dingo Bingo was quick. At this point, chat told me all I needed to do to get the Oatchi swallow upgrade was literally just talk to Olimar and that would help me win. So that's what I did. And then I proceeded to rematch Louie and I beat him first try 136 to 112. So I guess I'll knock down my Dingo uses by 1 since that was literally done right after and I could have just ended the day, got the upgrade and gone back. From there, it was just going around to some of the missing caves I hadn't completed, biting the Crawmad's eyes until they were no more, and slowly making my way down to fight the Sovereign Bullblack. Once he was defeated, it was time for the beginning of the end. For the 7th stream, it was time to just go through and make sure that I could 100% the area as much as possible, apart from the 2 treasures inside the Mamudas, since I don't need that money that badly. And start progressing in Cavern for a King until I couldn't progress or got stuck in some areas that I'd have to grind off stream. The Toxtool was an easy enough takedown, with a little nibble here and there, he would be defeated. The 2nd level was easy, very easy. Sub-level 3 was also very easy. Time consuming, but rotating around the 3 in the room made it so I was basically constantly dealing damage, and it actually made the fight quite enjoyable to do. Sub-level 4, the impossible level, well, the boss is super easy to beat without Pikmin. You wouldn't be able to progress without using Pikmin. So I had to do something here that was a little sneaky, collect raw material. But then I had to do something else a bit sneaky, do more night expeditions to maximize my castaways and Oatchi upgrades. I won't lie, the prog had me beat, but then I asked nicely for him to leave the Luminol alone, and he listened. Like, he just straight up listened. And now, it was time for the sneaky thing. You see, in order to progress in the final cave, you need 20 Pikmin to weigh down the ramp. I don't have 20 Pikmin. That would increase my Pikmin uses by 20 every single time I wanted to bring a ramp down within this cave. So, I thought of the sneaky thing. Getting 2 purple Pikmin. I would increase my Pikmin uses here, but save more in the long run. It also would mean that I wouldn't have to breed more Pikmin. So with 2 purple Pikmin sprouted, I could continue the journey. At this point, I had to be very careful on the next floor to keep my 2 purples safe. This is the point where Oatchi is a powerhouse, and getting the attention of these 3 is very easy to do. Then every time one tries to leave and head towards the captain and my 2 Pikmin, I just make sure to keep aggro on them by biting them. To be fair, I'm gonna be mad too if a dog kept biting me. Sub-level 6. Well, this one also requires the use of purples again, but it also requires the use of an ice bomb rock as well. After that, level 7 is one of the easiest ever because the blowhogs have no method of dealing any damage to Oatchi. Level 8. This one. I tried getting past the gate without fighting the boss. I really did, but it didn't seem possible. It might be, but again, I couldn't do it. Unlike bosses before, this one actually takes more damage by eating the bomb rock. So it would require some precision and Oatchi biting the tail a few times, but 3 bomb rocks is all it would. So, fail after fail after fail, I finally got the run that would allow me to beat him. Man at Legs was next, and this fight went exactly like last time. Only this time it was even easier since I was able to jump and bite the metal body quicker and easier due to the terrain being uneven. The prog was also an easy fight. Its biggest threat of gloom still damages Oatchi, but without having Pikmin go crazy and instantly die to it, it's a very easy win. Level 11 took some time, but the enemies are also just a test of perseverance and how good your Oatchi jump attack skills are. Floor 12 is a rest floor, so that's nice. Floor 13 involves this guy. Same thing as last time. Slowly but surely break the gold, then slowly keep dealing damage to them until they're defeated. Only this time, one of the pieces of gold managed to get stuck at the top, meaning it was very easy to just keep them stun locked there. Now, just throw a bomb rock in front. Don't lock on. Don't lock. Stop. So, 1 bomb, 2 bomb, 3 bomb, and bites, 4 bomb, and I failed. So 5 bomb. But then, chat told me I could have frozen him and then broken him with way less effort. So 5 bombs wasted and 1 ice bomb rock used. The next lore involved me using the boss to attack the smaller enemies so that I could then use a pick carrot strat. Thankfully, the same carrot can be used over and over again as long as you pick it back up. From there, it's Baldy time. And you guessed it, just repeatedly bite their feet and go from one side of the fighting area to the other. The fight takes a long time and some care in order to not take damage from getting stepped on or when he shakes, since that also deals damage, but once you do that, Oatchi is looking like $1,000,000 and you're good to go to the next floor. Next is the most interesting part. You see, this is where the fun begins. It's possible to kill water wraiths here without using Pikmin. But you see, the thing is, I actually had to end the stream here for the grind to begin. And I grinded a lot. I'll get back to the wraiths, but let's explain why the grind. Everyone knows the Ancient Sirehound is coming up. Each of its phases requires 50 bomb rocks to beat. Unless he eats a bomb rock, then that drops the required number for the phase down to 10. Now, him opening the mouth in order to do a eat attack is only consistent in the first phase. So unless you're willing to take like 10 hours on RNG, it's not really feasible to only use 40 bomb rocks or 50 bomb rocks to get the entire boss defeated. Additionally, when in the last phase, you can't even really use regular bomb rock. You can, but it's inconsistent since if he flies away before they explode, you just wasted a bomb rock. Meaning the minimum amount to take him down is 160 bomb rocks and 50 mines. If you miss any of these or one of them falls in the gloom, then you're screwed. I just wanted to farm a little bit extra in case. The total for all of these explosive ends up being around 2,000 raw material. I shouldn't have to explain why this is a problem since I've been complaining about raw material this entire video. On top of that 2,000 raw material, I also mentioned that I wanted to max out Oatchi's upgrade. It's not required, but it makes sense for the run just to get that Oatchi to the maximum power level. The start of the grind was not too bad, as I would send Oatchi to pick up raw material from a pile and then basically just AFK working on something else in the meantime. But then the following 2 hours were a mix of farming and trying to learn the wraith killing strat. When wraiths spawn, there is a brief moment when you can kill them without using Pikmin and just using items. Well, you can do it when the wraith is moving as well, but it's nearly impossible to do. Everyone already knows that a wraith needs to be hit by purples. But what everyone also knows is that when an enemy freezes and they fall to the ground, they shatter. But freezing a water wraith normally doesn't really work. So what you have to do is you have to throw a mine behind them, then an almost frame perfect ice bomb, and then throw another fairly accurate, almost frame perfect ice bomb right in front of him, then you can actually kill the wraith. It looks like this when it's complete. Now, why does this work? You see, it works because throwing the bomb rock right in front of the wraith while walking forward causes it to activate immediately and lift up the wraith a little bit, making him fall. Then the mine there is to force the wraith to fall again for a longer period of time so that the second ice bomb rock that was thrown earlier goes off while the wraith is still falling and then he shatters. Here's the problem though. If you're randomly just trying to do it like I did, you'll fail. In total, both wraiths took me around 4-ish hours to take down, which is kind of the average from the handful of people that have done this. But had I have analyzed the first kill, I would have done this much faster. In the video explaining how to do this, they don't really mention the exact frame timings on how to do it, so I assumed it was mainly luck. But there is a method to this madness, and after learning it, I was able to kill the second wraith within 5 minutes. So if I were to redo it, I could probably kill both in under half an hour. You need to throw the first mine roughly the distance of Oatchi behind the water wraith. The second item needs to be thrown in about a 3-frame window from where the wraith's head is fully up after slamming the roller on the ground. Too early and it won't work. Too late and it won't work. And from there, you have another window to throw the second ice bomb rock as soon as the wraith starts moving. This one is also like a 3-frame window. If you pay attention to the animations, timing, and positioning, you'll be able to get it fairly easily. And with that, it was time to continue the farm for raw material, as I didn't want to progress through the cave off stream. And I did that for another 2 hours. At this point, I had exhausted all the raw material piles, meaning the only method of collecting more would be to get the little raw material things that you dig up from the holes. Problem with this is, they only spawn 10 raw material per hole. Other problem is they're scattered around the map, and you actively have to control Oatchi to collect each one of them, since he won't idly collect the pile of 10. I did some testing, and I found out the fastest method to get this done was to go to this spot in the sun-speckled terrace. I also figured out that it was most efficient to just get the closest pile to the landing site, because getting the one further away is less efficient, taking like 8 minutes per run for getting both of the piles, whereas just getting the closest one would take around 3 minutes per run. So for the next 12 hours, yes, you heard that right, 12 hours, I was just grinding this one spot. There was no joy or satisfaction from doing this, only pain. I'd gotten so good at learning how to skip the end day dialogues and the optimal method of collecting raw material, you'd think I was a speedrunner or something. I was actually just one stubborn dog with a dream. And after all of that time, it was finally the moment for this run to come to an end. Heading into the final cave, the battle against the worst enemy in the game would begin. Like, who did Nintendo let cook when making this boss? This boss in this tiny arena, it sucks. But after destroying the Empress and her babies, it was time to go for the Emperor to end the bloodline. This dude is pretty easy to take down, just run away when he starts tweaking, and you're good. The next floor has some flowers for you to get more Pikmin, as if we needed that though. Final floor of the final cave. It was finally a worthy opponent. Dog versus Big Dog, who's actually a small dog if you compare him to real life stuff. The first phase is pretty simple as Dog runs towards you and you throw a bomb rock. Unfortunately, due to the clunky Pikmin 4 movement though, there is no way to dodge after throwing the bomb rock, so you're going to take damage. However, I did learn that if you're near the corner of the map, the Sirehound won't actually bite you, which can save you from taking damage. So with that knowledge and a couple bombs later, the first phase was complete. The second phase is a little more simple as you just throw bombs near the boss and you have to throw about 5 at a time, since if you throw more, the damage kind of bugs out, so you gotta be patient with it. The hilarious thing is, despite leaving my captain all the way at spawn, he somehow got picked up by snowballs and ended up dying. I was also dodging the frost breath for whatever reason, something I literally did not have to do because Oatchi doesn't take damage from this. So if you're actually doing this run yourself, just worry about the snowballs. Third phase is the electric one. Best part about this one is you don't have to worry about any of the hazards. All you gotta do is throw bombs down his feet when he goes into Pikmin bug zapper mode. 50 bomb rocks later and you'll make it to the next phase. For the fourth phase, you can actually throw bombs a bit quicker since they explode on impact with the Sirehound. Kind of a cool little gimmick they added. Oatchi can handle the heat, so dodging the fire attacks is not required. Again, another 50 nukes later and you're on to the final phase. Final phase is another game of patience. If you miss one mine on the tail, you can always pick it back up. Unless it falls into gloom, then it sucks to suck. But apart from that, even the deadliest hazard in the game is no match for the deadliest good boy, Oatchi. After I finished tail bombing, the battle was over. Louis defeated. An interesting thing about the end credits is, only Pikmin you've discovered appear, so I only had purples, reds, and ice Pikmin, which is a cool attention to detail from Nintendo. One dog versus the world, beating Pikmin 4 with only Oatchi, mostly. This is as close to a no Pikmin run or only Oatchi run that you'll ever see. Remember to like and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time.